Hi, everyone. Surprise, it's me. Listen, I want to tell you some things. If this is your first visit to our channel, thank you. I appreciate it. And for those of you that are among my 7,000 subscribers, I really want to thank you a lot for all the support you've given to me over the years. We're starting something new, or at least I'm trying something new. For those of you who aren't familiar, back in the early 2000s to the middle of 2000s, I had a radio show on ESPN. It was called Speed Talk Live. It was done in front of a live audience down at Disney, and we did it once a week. Well, that went away in about 2008, and I'm deciding to try and bring it back. Now, I'm going to do it obviously from home, but I'm also going to try to bring you some clips from the track and different things. But one of the elements that made Speed Talk Live such a hit was the fact that fans could ask questions. So I'm going to work on a couple ways that you'll be able to do that in the coming weeks. Don't know a schedule yet. Don't exactly know how you're going to be able to join live, or whether we'll have questions that can be emailed and I can talk to them. But I plan on talking to drivers, executives in the industry, from teams and from NASCAR. But like this first week, we're talking to the TV women of NASCAR, women that work at Fox Sports that have to work this Mother's Day weekend. And I wanted to get some insight from them about being a mom and working in Fox Sports, working around NASCAR and their journeys. So I hope you like it. And in the future, we'll try some more of these. For now, make sure you leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think, what you like, what you'd like to see, and some ideas that you can give for giving some questions, asking some questions. Anyway, so what we were saying is the second Sunday in May across America is a special day as we celebrate the moms in our lives and their accomplishments. But for all moms, it's for not all moms, however, it's a day off. For some moms, it's another working day. And specifically in our world, it's the NASCAR TV moms, which is who I'm talking with today. And these are the women that work in NASCAR for Fox Sports. Their part of the season just so happens to fall within Mother's Day. So today I'm talking with Fox Sports, Jamie Little, Shannon Spake, Kaitlyn Vincie, and Lindsey Mandia, and the different roles that they have. Welcome, ladies. I thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And we're just going to kind of banter among ourselves because obviously I'm not a mom, but I've seen your kids. I know it's tough. But let me ask you all, what's Mother's Day like for you? And you could start off and just talk over each other. Doesn't matter.
It's busy from 7 a.m. until midnight. It's going to be slammed for me because I have to be at the racetrack, and we have the big race, the Darlington NASCAR Cup race. So, I won't have time to really think about it being Mother's Day. We'll get shout outs, and people are very kind to us at the racetrack about it being Mother's Day. But we just get used to in this business celebrating birthdays and anniversaries and holidays on a different day. And that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, Mother's Day for me is actually Saturday night after we get done with the Xfinity Series race. That's when I'm going to go out to eat with all of my family. And, Jamie's right. I always say, it's like people always ask me, how do you do it all? And I'm like, I don't do it all. I get to do it all. And I think when we all signed up for this job, which is sports, because we love it and this is what we want to do, we knew that there was going to be some sacrifices and there was going to be some things that we were going to have to give up, and birthdays and Christmases and, Thanksgiving and Easter and weddings and going to sporting events with our friends. Those are all things that over the last 20 years or so that we've all been in this industry, we've all had to sort of come to grips with. That doesn't mean it's okay for everybody, but it is okay for us because of the fact that I think we're replacing it with something that we really, really love. And we know that we're doing a great service to our children by doing something that we love. And I don't know about you guys. I mean, I think a lot of times it's just my own guilt that makes me feel bad about missing these dates, because I know my kids are loved. I know that they're cared for. I know that they're enjoying the time with their family. And I get to spend a little extra time with them, but it's just not on that day all the time.
I think the flip side being that I agree with everything both of you said, But what it's come to mean the last several years is I get to see you guys on Mother's Day, right? Which, you know, there's always text on holidays or birthdays or whatever, but that's become special to me, Shannon, right? Is to get to come in and get to see you. Jamie, there's always some form of communication. Kaitlyn and I are always talking on special days. And so while you don't get, you know, a dedicated day away or just with the kids or whatever, you do get to celebrate with, you know, the women that we work with and really have become my biggest confidants as mothers that I get to work alongside and also share friendship and life with.
Kaitlyn, what's it like for you?
I think it's just for these jobs, it's just another day, right? You know, just the fact we don't celebrate it on Mother's Day necessarily doesn't take anything away from that, because we still spend time with our kids when we can on Saturday, like Shannon was explaining, if we have to. Our kids are used to kind of an abnormal schedule, to say the least. At this point in time, they know that we spend time with them when it makes sense, whether it's on a specific holiday. Sometimes even birthdays are challenging because of the NASCAR schedule being what it is. For me, Mother's Day, last couple of years, I've spent the morning time frame with my kids, then gone out to the racetrack, which is what I plan to do this Sunday. But like Lindsey was talking about, it's very nice knowing that you have so many other working moms within Fox Sports family to trade messages with on that day, to share funny stories with on that day, to trade photos or whatever it is. And so it's just, this is what our normal is. We don't know anything else. And it works for us. And I think it works for our children too.
Yeah, Greg, I think it's important to point out that we might be the four that you're talking to right now, but there are many women that are in that building at Fox Sports when I walk in there on Sunday morning who are also away from their family. I'll share that on Valentine's Day and on Mother's Day, I bring every woman in there a rose just to kind of let them know that, just to let them know that, like, hey, you know, this is our day. And on Valentine's Day, I'm like, oftentimes I feel bad because I'm like, these aren't for the guys, it's just for the girls, you know, but I think it's really important. And there's been times where I've been busy and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do it today. And then I'm like, no, I'm doing it. Because I just think it's important for all of us to know that, you know, hey, I see that you're here as well. You know, I know that you're here. I know you were probably here late last night and you're going to be here longer than I'm here today. And I know that you have a family at home. And some of the people that work there have very young kids and are celebrating maybe their first Mother's Day, and they'll be there on Sunday. So I think all of us have been there before and kind of know what it's like.
And I think I used to work in television, right? Obviously way behind the scenes, never on camera, but I understand what you're saying. And that's something that we don't, you know, maybe the fans don't understand. Yeah, they see you on TV, but then they've got people like Lindsey behind the scenes, and there's so many people behind the scenes that also, you know, the women in this industry that are also sacrificing for their Mother's Day. And it's funny you point out the Valentine's Day. I used to do the same thing. I used to bring in roses for all the girls that would be there. And you know, that was a different time, maybe. I don't know if, you know, I'd be the creepy old guy if I did it today, but I used to do that because just to acknowledge the fact that they're there and it's a special day for them. You know, you mentioned your kids. I've seen all your kids. All the kids are adorable. We could have a group adorable kids picture for all of you. But let me ask you this, when it comes to Mother's Day, maybe other holidays too, how do you explain to your children that while their friends are with their moms or doing stuff with their moms, you have to work on Mother's Day? How do you explain that to your kids?
They don't know any better.
Yeah. That's all they've known ever since.
I will tell you though. So I think I've got the oldest here. So my kids are 13 and they didn't know for a really long time. And they are starting to know now. They're starting, like this past year, missing Easter was a big deal for them. Not being there on my birthday is a big deal for them. Not being there on their birthday, Christmas, because I do NFL as well. So they're definitely starting to know. And it's not something that I thought, hey, this is just how it is. They're used to it. It's been like this the whole time. But as they start to get older, and maybe it'll just be for a couple of years, they want to be with me. And so, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to explain to them because they can't understand. I don't think that like the job is what's taking mommy away for this day, but you just have to make another day really special for them.
Well, my husband makes it special, and yours probably do too, where, you know, I'll get to the racetrack on Friday, I'll be in Darlington, and I'll open my suitcase and there's usually a card and some candy, and the kids draw little, you know, notes for me. That's become the norm. And I do the same for them when I miss their birthdays or special events. I've got a closet. Everybody in the family knows where the closet is. On that day, you pull it out and you open it up so you feel like we're all together. And, you know, that's okay now. But I totally get that one day they're going to be like, no, like, I want to go with you. But my son is 10 and he's already like, why do you have to go today? Why can't you just go tomorrow? Like, it still doesn't, you know, it doesn't make sense to them why I have to leave on those special days. And this Sunday will be no different.
Yeah, I think obviously because my kids are still so young, and then my husband works in the industry as well. And so we just have a different, I guess what you would compare as normal, our lifestyle is just different, but that's the way it's always been, right? For both our daughters. And I, you know, Shannon, you bring up a good point of we may get to a place in time where it is different, but that's just our normal, right? So it's not, I gotta be like, I'm sure they know, you know, the same thing, like Eric will plan something, usually they'll send flowers and they'll write me a card, but I don't even know if they're really aware of like, this is Mother's Day and this is what you do on Mother's Day. Of course, you know, they make stuff for the grandmas and all of that, but I don't know that they actually like, honestly, like pinpoint things to a particular day. It's when we get together and celebrate it and have that moment. But again, I just have one in school now, so I imagine that'll change over time.
And I think this is the example that we've chosen to set for our children. Yeah. And you can't allow a day to take you off your path that you've decided is a path that you want to be on. And you've got to stay focused on, this is I love what I do and it's very important to me, mommy, I'm better because of that. And two, this is the example that I want to set for my two boys. They're seeing a strong woman who's, you know, supporting the family and going to work and making sacrifices, even if that means that it hurts to not be with them on certain days, but they see that. And I have to stay focused on the fact that that's the example that I want to set.
Kaitlyn, I know yours are small. Are you finding the same kind of challenges?
Not really. Like I said, you know, they're 2 and 5. So Cadence, my daughter, does have an understanding, I think, of more things, obviously, than Dawson does. It's just another day. Sunday will come and go and he won't really know anything different. She has asked me before, like, why do you work so much? Which I have said to her, I said, this is how I help take care of you. Because I think it's important for her to equate me working as helping take care of her and her brother and our family. So she's starting to understand that more. It helps too that she can physically see me on TV. Like for Jamie and Shannon, your kids probably actually see you up there. They know you are actually working because they can watch you on TV. But I also feel like it's very important to set that example for her. I want her to see that both mom and dad can work, can contribute to the family. I think that's going to help her cultivate her own passions and interests and hobbies, whether it has something to do with racing or not, I don't know. But she already does seem very interested in racing. So I feel like it's already kind of working, the sense that she's getting interested in that, knowing that her mom works in it. So she hasn't given me too much of a hard time yet. I'm sure it will come.
Greg, I was just going to say, I think it's important to point out that we didn't used to race on Mother's Day. We had Mother's Day off until I think 3 years ago.
Right.
And Easter, right, James? And Easter.
And Easter. Both of those were off, like they were sacred in NASCAR. Not anymore. I don't think anything is sacred anymore. But I want to give a shout out to Lindsey Mandia. And 2 years ago, Lindsey, I don't remember if this was the first time we were racing on Mother's Day or not, but she did this amazing thing because she always does for women. She's always thinking about all of us who are working alongside her. And she put together a video and around our backs, and she reached out to my husband and got both of my kids recorded saying Happy Mother's Day. But the funny thing was they threw it to me when I'm getting ready to do an interview, and that popped up and I was like, my eyes filled up, and I don't even want to tell you, it was one of the most embarrassing things came out of my mouth because I could not say the right word.
I forgot. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that part of the story.
What's it going to be like from the cockpit? I said cock seat, cock seat. And it was an amazing gesture on Mother's Day. And that was such a funny memory.
Yeah, you're right.
To me, that speaks to though, just, I mean, this particular kind of job, I think that's different for people to understand too, is that it's an extension of your family, everyone that you work with, because we do work so much, or these non-traditional hours, or we travel together. You just experience work in a different way than I would say other people kind of conceptualize work. Right. And so that just becomes something that you know, you're doing for a loved one in a way, you know? And so it's just, it's a different lifestyle. It's a different environment. It's a different atmosphere. And I think that that's definitely very unique to our work life experience.
But we're like all in this together, which is nice, because I know I've spoken to everybody on this call individually for insight and help on parenting and managing the career and managing the home life. And I've learned so much from everybody sitting here, and it's nice to have that camaraderie. It feels almost like a sisterhood in a way, because I know I can lean on them to help me through a variety of things. I had never even held a child before I held my own. I was that clueless on how to raise kids. So, so everyone here gave me a lot of advice, especially in the beginning, because I did not know how to manage the majority of it. And it's super helpful when you work with other women in the same role, and also when you have executives that understand what you're up against. When it comes to parenting and being pregnant on TV, and like having Lindsey was super helpful, because she knew exactly what I was experiencing and what I was going through. And I think that that is a huge asset just to my professional life.
And Greg, I think what is cool about this whole thing, and particularly, I mean, I feel so like it just is cool to me. I feel like I was the first one, right? On pit road, pregnant, with the backpack, expandable fire suit, sitting in the back of Jamie Little's rental car, crying my eyes out because I wanted to go home and nest, or I wasn't like, I wanted to throw up, or I said something on TV that I wasn't supposed to say because I was, you know, brain fog. And then to see, because I do think I spoke to women while I was pregnant who were older, who didn't allow themselves to have families because they didn't think that they could, because of the schedule or because of the travel or whatever. And when I did it, and then Jamie did it, and then Kaitlyn did it, and then Wendy did it, and then Chris Devoda did it, and then Nicole Briscoe did it, and you saw all these women, they didn't care that they were in the garage. They didn't care that they were traveling 36 weeks out of the year. They didn't care if they had to wear a backpack because they couldn't put an audio pack around their stomach. We just did it because this is what we wanted to do. And I felt like the tide really turned. And I do think that the tide has also turned in terms of women supporting women. So I remember when I was like just a green reporter, I don't remember there being the same sort of embracement from some of the older women that were in the industry. And now I truly believe that we look out for each other. We support each other. When things go badly, we don't go, haha, did you see what happened? We reach out to each other. And I think that we, like you said, if women can band together, we have. And I think that really allows all of us to do it all in this industry, and as moms and wives and whatever, as well, is because we have each other.
And you know, having been in television before, I get with the camaraderie and the family and everything. You know, you come together and all that, but there's got to be, and you guys kind of spoke to this, but there's got to be so many challenges in this industry, not only being as a woman, but being a mom. What are some of the challenges beyond what you've already spoken about that you can think of that you face in this industry, being a mom in TV?
Mom guilt. 100%.
Yeah. You can never
like being a human being, being tired, being sad, missing our kids. Like, you're not allowed to, right? You're not, like, you have to be on, and you have to be ready to go, and you have to be perfect. Right. And that's what I tell all the women. I think my advice to them is it's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to miss your kids. It's okay to take a day off. It's okay to feel insignificant, feel guilty. I remember Jamie coming back from work, from maternity leave. I think we were in Richmond. Were we in Richmond, Jamie, when you came back? I feel like we were walking out of the Richmond hotel. And was it Chicago? And I just remember, babe, you were just in, like, it was so hard for you. Like, your just body. I know you're
old, and I had to get back on the road, and I was on the road for 10 weeks after that. That was crazy. I think we all experience things differently, and we all kind of do something different. You know, we're in different roles. I think for me, one of the biggest challenges, and I'm learning this more and more, is the two different hats. You know, when you're home, your mom, your wife, You can lean into your significant other. You're chasing, football and soccer and dinners and my dogs and life. And then it's like, I get on the plane and you have to put all that behind you. Literally, you have to flip a switch so that you're good at your job. And you've got to be strong, powerful, independent, walk in the garage, talk to any man, tell any story. And then you take the hat off when you come home. And there's always a little bit for me of a transition. When I get home, there's that little transition. And when I get on the plane, I'm making that transition. So I think I'm used to it now, but I think that I still have moments where it is a challenge. I just went through it this week because I've been gone. I've been home 2 nights in the last 8 days. And I go through those moments, but thankfully, my husband's my rock, and he reminds me all the time, you're really good at what you do. You love what you do, and your kids are just fine. We'll be here when you get home.
Aw, Cody.
Good.
Awesome.
Is that the key to balancing all of this, though? Is having those rocks and having the hats and things? How do you balance all this stuff?
I think, one thing that I've always said is like this idea, I think it's a society thing. Yes, we feel like it applies to women and moms in particular, but this idea, I feel like our society has that you're great at everything. And, especially in what we do. And I just think in general, it's a highly competitive environment, right? And whether it's in the TV space or the sports space, or just scrolling your phone, looking at other people's lives, right? We're constantly in this state of like competition and am I the best at every single thing? And I think for me, it's been realizing that cannot happen. And if I'm going to find balance that I feel good about and I feel is right for me and right for my kids and right for my husband, it's going to come in seasons. And probably when I'm rocking it at my job and doing fantastic, there are going to be other sacrifices. And those are very personal sacrifices in terms of what's happening with your kids and what's happening with your spouse. There are times where I'm really leaned in and focused in on that because that's what my family needs. And, work is going to take a little more of a back seat, but really only you at the end of the day can be confident in what that balance needs to be and still get yourself where it is you want to go career wise, or the things that you want to be able to challenge yourself and see yourself do as a wife or as a mom. And so I think it's such a personal question, is how do you find that balance? And it is, you need great people, right? Like I'm so thankful for my amazing husband, grandparents that live in other states that are, you call them at the drop of a hat and they'll fly in, because both Eric and I are gone on a weekend. Certainly we have amazing nannies and babysitters and just a whole team, the women on this call, that we all kind of help each other. But I really think you have to get internal and just determine for you and know and feel confident. And sometimes that's changing. It's a changing metric. But it's that challenge of no one else can really tell you what's right. And you have to figure out what that balance is and be okay with the decisions that you make.
Jamie, you kind of spoke to this. And I think you're the longest tenured out of all, and I could be wrong. But how has the sport changed when it comes to not just being a mom, but being a woman in this industry? How has it changed since you first started in this industry?
Yeah, I've definitely seen change. You definitely see more women in different roles throughout, from top executives, obviously at the network, Lindsey, and you have, executives at NASCAR that never used to be there. And then you have women who are tire changers, engineers, you name it, they're throughout the garage. And you didn't see that back when Shannon and I started on pit road in NASCAR in 2007. We're still few and far between. Definitely there's mornings where, literally there's one woman and there's 70 men, in the garage at one time. But I feel like it's just more accepting, everybody's more accepting of it. It's not like, oh, there's the one girl, it's just like, we're there, and I'm just like the guy next to me that's going to ask you the same questions. And I just feel like it's just normal, and they have to be okay with it, because obviously after 17 years, I'm not going anywhere. So I just feel like it's just normal, and it's not for everybody. And there's certainly been many women who have tried to come into the sport and they're out, it's not for everybody. But if you have the staying power, you get that respect and that love and adoration, and you work, you coincide with all the men in the garage.
I do think that there's a misconception that NASCAR is a male-dominated sport,
Mhm.
because I do work in the NFL, which is absolutely a male-dominated sport. Like, I literally sit at a table every single weekend, every Saturday night with all men. And when I was coming up through NASCAR, I had Jamie at that table with me throughout my time at ESPN. Now I have Kaitlyn at that table, or Lindsey at that table with me every single weekend. Jamie's also there, but not in the studio. But I always have another woman or women around me. Even in NASCAR, there's women in the media center, there's wives, there's girlfriends, there's there's PR people, there's across the board, there's so many women that you can turn to. And I think that is something that's not recognized about our sport, about this sport, as much as it should be, because we always get that question, what is it like to be in a male dominated sport? And I think just because there's wrenches and there's tires and there's cars that go fast, and we don't necessarily work on those cars or drive those cars, there are so many women that support each other. I've said so many times, if I didn't have Jamie from 2007 to 2014, when I stopped doing NASCAR full time and traveling, I don't know how I would have navigated it. I mean, I was so lucky to have her by my side to go through the marriages and the pregnancies and, the breakups and all of the things that girls go through a little bit differently than men do. And we had each other for that. And now I have Lindsey every Sunday that I can sit and talk to, or I have Kaitlyn that I could walk down the hall and chat with. And that's a vital, important part of us doing it all and having this balance.
Let's wrap it up with this. What do you think the challenges are that still exist in the industry? What challenges do you think you still face, or are they just coming down, or?
I don't know. That's a hard question for me, because we get it all the time. What are the challenges? And maybe I'm blind to it. I've just gotten good at it. I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant, but I feel like there really aren't. I mean, I'm at the top. I do play-by-play now. So you can't tell me that a woman can't do every single job in NASCAR. Maybe it took me a little bit longer than it would have a man that said, hey, I want to do play-by-play, because they automatically get the okay because they're man. But I feel like, I mean, the challenges there aren't a lot. More emotional. I certainly, we all talk about leaving our kids. It's different for men. It just is. Men can walk away. They can go, get on a plane and be gone for a few days. They're not going to have that same emotional connection and sadness that we feel, and guilt that we feel. And I know that for a fact. All the men that we work around, we talk about it, and it's just different for a woman to have to be away from her family. So I feel like that is the biggest challenge. But once I get to the racetrack, I don't feel like there's anything stopping us anymore. And I don't feel like there are big challenges, but maybe that's just my opinion.
Go ahead, Kaitlyn. I'll answer after you go, Kaitlyn. You haven't said anything. You've just been sitting there so quietly.
I think when it comes to Fox, we're very fortunate because our company is more than happy to give women opportunities if they feel they deserve them. So we work at a place where our work is really valued. Like Jamie talked about, she's the first woman to do play-by-play. They had faith in her to do that. So I feel like we're in a position to really succeed as women. As far as what other people experience in the NASCAR business, I don't really know, because my own personal experience has been a very positive one in the sense of them giving us opportunities and trusting us to do our jobs. I think the hardest thing I've struggled with personally is giving myself grace, that I'm not going to be able to give 100% to everything. Something is always going to suffer a little bit, whether it's the career, the marriage, the family life, because you cannot give 100% to every entity in your life. It's just not possible. So you have to train your mind to be okay and giving yourself grace, that it's not always going to come together perfectly every single day of your life. It's just not possible. But back to the sport as a whole, I think too, the other thing that's significant to note is there are women in roles that are not just to check a box so that a woman is there. I mean, these are women that deserve to be there, whether it's play-by-play, pre-race hosts, track operators, public relations representatives, major sponsor reps. I mean, there's lots of really qualified women that have come into the industry over the last several years. And I think that is something that is very encouraging. That tells me what we're all doing together collectively is working. More and more people are seeing the sport as a welcome place for women, for mothers. So I think we just need to keep doing what we're doing and setting these examples, really.
Yeah.
Shannon?
Go ahead, Vince.
I mean, I certainly agree with everything Kaitlyn and Jamie have said. I would just say we have to keep going in this direction, as everything they said is true. And as great as everything is, we still like have to keep progressing forward, right? Because there is such a large amount of women who want to be in this space. There are people of different ethnicities, of religions, orientation, creeds that want to be a part of NASCAR, that want to be a part of television. And I think we have to keep going in the direction that we're going, so that as we're covering the sport, it's a true representation of everyone who's participating or watching or want to be involved in these things. And I think we're moving in that direction, but I'm not convinced that we're completely there yet, where we're fully representing everyone in leadership roles, in decision-making roles, on TV. And so I think it is great where we're at, but we've got to keep going and making sure that everyone knows these doors are open and how to get to them, right? Some of us have different opportunities where we know these jobs exist or these opportunities exist. Are we making sure that everyone that wants to be a part of this knows that there is an opportunity for them and that they have access to that opportunity?
Shannon?
Yeah, so mine's a little different, and this is not something that I had thought about until recently. You know, I'm the oldest one on this call. I'm going to be 47 in 2 months. And so for me, aging out is certainly something that has started to weigh on me. Not weigh on me, I think that's a bad phrase, something I've started to think about. And I know that there are examples, right? Susie Colbert, Pam Oliver, Michelle Tafoya, all women in their 50s and 60s who are still doing this job. But I do feel fortunate that I know I look a little younger, but I'm still getting up there. And I don't necessarily think that that's something that men think about as they continue to age. And it's absolutely something that I think about. Can I do this till I'm 55? Can I do this till I'm 60? Not because I can't, but because is it going to get to a point where as a woman, I'm just a little too old for the job? And that's absolutely something that I've started to think about as of within the last couple of years.
It's funny though, because Shannon, like, I just wouldn't even, if I was in a role to hire someone to be on television, that's just not even a part of my thought process. And that's why I think just continuing to get people who have different mindsets is the right way to go, right? Like a polished professional look, but in my brain that there's never a category of age that's not anything that's ever considered, right? It's like, how do you do the job? How well do you do the job? You know? And
that's like, 1000%. You are hoping that is the thing that's going to carry you along. And the women that I mentioned, that's why they're still in those roles, right? Because they are excellent at what they do and they've earned the right to be there. But that doesn't mean that doesn't creep into your brain as those numbers start to click closer and closer to the 50 mark, the 55 mark, the 60 mark, you know? Well,
and it shows where we still want to keep going, right? Thank goodness for you and Jamie and everyone that came before you, that we get to a place where Kaitlyn isn't thinking about that, right? And whoever is coming up after Kaitlyn, it's not even a thought in their mind, you know?
That's so interesting you said that, because I've been thinking about that a lot. It's weird because when I signed my first deal with Fox, it was going to take me until I turned 40. And for some reason, maybe it was just growing up around seeing women were off the air before they were 50, that I was like, wow, this could be my last contract. I'll be 40. They're not going to want me. There's going to be the next thing that can do my same job and maybe do it better. And then I signed another deal. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see how this goes. And now it's like, well, hell, I think I could be on pit road at 50. Who the hell wants to see a 50-year-old woman on pit road? But I'm like, I'm 5 years away from it. So, okay, I may be there.
Totally.
We see 50-year-old men on pit road.
Yes, we do. We see way older than 50-year-old men.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This is not, I just don't think that that's something that men consider. In this
it's so funny because honestly, again, Jamie, you and I had a conversation like a month ago where we talked about this, and I had never really I've just never really considered that. Like, honestly, just in general, in age, like even age of men, it's just not, I don't think about that. And I hadn't taken pause to really realize that that's something that you and Shannon and, women who are just a little bit older than I am, that's a real thought in their mind. I hadn't considered that because it just hasn't been a part of my reality in any way, you know?
And sadly, I can remember in TV when aging out was a real thing, sadly. And I can remember that when a woman got to a certain age, suddenly she wasn't there anymore. Her contract didn't get renewed. But I think one thing you ladies have proven, as we talk about, how the industry has changed, is you've become inspirations to the younger folks, because you look at yourself like Shannon, I'm not even trying to suck up here. Whatever you're using, kid, you need to bottle it, because you don't look anywhere near 47. I have no reason to suck up.
I've got a good doctor. I've got a great doctor. Ask all these women. I show them pictures of the off season and they're like, you did what 5 weeks before you had to be on air?
But
yeah, and guys don't think about that, because they can go on TV with their wrinkles and their fat and it does not matter.
Yes. So, but the thing is this, we have folks like Lindsey coming up who doesn't look at age, right? We have other people in the industry where we're casting aside those old notions, the aging out, the different things. And one thing that you ladies are doing, you're inspiring others. You know, Jamie, 10 years ago, if we would have said we would have had a female announcer in the play-by-play booth, I would have told you were crazy. But guess what? Not only you there, you're kicking ass.
Yep.
And you're a joy to listen to. Really. I mean, my mom is 87 years old, and the first broadcast you had, she watched it. She said, that's amazing. And she really got inspired. And that's the thing all of you are doing, right? You're inspiring not only what you do, but the fact that you are all moms, right? You're all raising children. You're raising the next generation. And you're also inspiring those little girls we see at the track, the ones that grow up to maybe not be on TV, but maybe they're going to be an executive. Maybe they're going to be a producer. Maybe they're going to be the tire carrier or the driver, whatever that is. You're part of that, and you inspire others to do that. You're an important members of our society, because, you know, we joked about this before we started recording. You know, we could say that women could all get together and stop the human race by saying we're not going to have any more babies. But thank God you do, because you are raising some incredible children. You're inspirations to all children coming up. And I think I can speak for the millions and billions of dads, husbands, and sons and daughters when I say happy Mother's Day. Thank you for working. Thank you for bringing the entertainment to our lives that NASCAR does.
I will say this before we go. I think it really does start at the top. And this is the first time that I've worked for a woman. And I've learned so much about doing what I do and communicating and watching the way Lindsey does what she does, and the way that she honors and really lifts and supports other women up and makes it a real priority for her. And I tell her all the time, so I'm not just saying this just for the video. It's like, I've just learned so much. She holds me accountable all the time. I know, and I'm probably sure that I do the same with her, as do all of us women. But I think it does start at the top. And I think if and not saying anything, if we had a man that was in Lindsey's position right now, I don't necessarily know if we'd be sitting here having the same conversation.
I agree. And I think she's a joy to have in the industry, and I'm happy to have you. Ladies, thank you so much. Again, happy Mother's Day. I hope you get a chance to get a little spoiled and get the cards in the suitcases and things, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, and we enjoy what you do, and continue, and hope you do it for many, many more years. And Shannon, I'm telling you, bottle it. Okay.
Start selling it, bottle and sell it.
Yeah. She'll be a millionaire. So anyway, seriously, ladies, thank you. And well, there you have it. I hope you liked it. Hope you watched it all the way through. But most importantly, leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would like to see in the future. Thanks again, and I appreciate it.